Test.
Testing.
Testing. 1, 2, 6, 12.
Let's see what the light's like.
Takes you to something not much bigger than the Cuyahoga County region.
Okay, let's get started. Any visitors this evening? Any new members? Dan, put your hand down. Troublemaker. Okay. Next week, next Friday, Unleash Your Creativity, Zoom presentation by Liz. I can never get this name right. Liz Gerton. And then the following week, August 9th, be a photojournalism competition. August 16th, black and white print competition. That evening, Coleman Rosenberg's going to do a talk for us while the judges are doing their thing in the back. He's going to talk about impact, the often missing ingredient. Critique night, August 23rd. You're limited to 3 photos. You can submit them to info@clevelandphoto.org. Richard has agreed to continue to run the critique nights for me, which I really appreciate. August 1st is going to be our next SIG meeting. Dave was going to talk about lighting, and then he had somebody that was going to come in and work with him, and at the last minute couldn't make it. So we've got a new topic, covered bridges of Ashtabula County. Field trip, August 17th, West Side Lighthouses. Going to start at Marblehead, I believe, at 8 o'clock in the morning, then going to Huron, Vermilion, and Lorraine. Summer party, August 24th, 4 p.m. here at the clubhouse. Save the date. Food, fun, games, and fellowship. Potluck. Potluck. Bring a dish for 6. If you come as a couple, bring a dish for 12, please. Otherwise, you could pay $15 single or $30 for a couple. RSVP to Barb Pennington at barbshalo@gmail.com. It'll be here at the clubhouse. And we do need some volunteers, so Barb and I don't end up doing everything all by ourselves, and we're all worn out for the picnic. It would be greatly appreciated. Introduction to mat cutting and photo mounting. The first session was a huge success. Dennis had 25 people here. Come on in and learn how to cut mats. You can, Dennis will teach you all you need to know. You can, after you take the class, you can come in anytime there's not something going on in the clubhouse and cut mats for your prints. Having been on the exhibit committee before, I think this is a great opportunity. We had a lot of people that wanted to use non-standard mats, but they couldn't because they didn't have the ability. Now you will be able to. It's a real bargain. $3 for a single mat, $5 for a double mat. It's the honor system. Once you've had the training, you can come in anytime the clubhouse is open and do your thing. Be an honor system. There will be an envelope to put your money in. The only nights that you can't come in are on print night because we will be using the room in the back for judging, but it will be back in the back room, Rob Erick's old office. Fundamentals of Good Photography. You can still sign up and take the class at your own pace. It's all virtual. If you sign up for the class, pay the fees. If you want to come back in sometime in the future and take the class in person, it's just an additional $10 and you can take the class all over again. I was very happy. I finally took the phone photo instructor off the wish list for volunteers. We've got a couple of volunteers and they're going to put together a class hopefully for next year. We're looking now for mat cutting and photo mounting instructor. This would be a position to back up Dennis in case he can't make an evening, but Dennis will teach you everything you need to know. I'm also looking for a marketing chairman. I think we need to do a better job of marketing the club. I'm looking for somebody, ideally within the club, who has experience marketing a nonprofit, maybe with some ties to the art community in the Cleveland area. It doesn't have to be photography, painting, or anything else, but somebody that can get our name out in front of more people. Tonight's history lesson, another history lesson, folks, so you're going to have to suffer through it with me. Last time I spoke about Reverend Pomeroy and William Higbee, and how they were the first president and treasurer of the club. Tonight I want to talk a little bit about the context, give you a little context of what things were like back then. I've got a picture up there of John D. Rockefeller's mansion. He wasn't a club member, but that was the time of Millionaires Row. They called Millionaires Row. They said it was similar to the Avenue des Champs-Élysées in Paris. It was the time of Woodrow Wilson and Teddy Roosevelt. At that time, Cleveland had, it was the 6th largest city in the country. At one point, they had 800,000 people in this city. But the club was founded in January 1887. Photography was just 48 years old. There was no roll film of any kind. Photographers were using large cumbersome box cameras and glass plates. The club met in Dr. Dayton's office at 18 Euclid Avenue. In between sessions of critiquing each other's photography, they debated such weighty issues as to whether or not women should remove their hats during performances in the Opera House. What an important issue to discuss. Unbelievable. Photography was just beginning to transition from a hobby of the well-to-do to that of the masses. George Eastman's first camera debuted in 1888 with the announcement, "You press the button, we do the rest." This had little effect on the Cleveland Camera Club, as it remained a select group of Clevelanders. That was a time when there was just a lot of money in Cleveland, and the photo club at that point was a hobby for the very well-to-do. And then here's our last slide. You can watch all of the presentations live, except Zoom presentations. Go to the Cleveland Photographic Society's YouTube page. There's a link on the CPS website on the homepage. You just click on live. You see in the left-hand photo the link that you click on to go to the YouTube page, and then it'll open up the page on the right. You click on live, and you can watch the presentations live and in person. Right now, there's people at home watching this presentation live. Ami Horowitz is going to be our first judge. Ami is an environmental biologist. He's visited many countries, exploring and photographing various environments and their flora and fauna. He has been a nature photographer since he was a teenager. Ami is a longtime guest and judge for the Cleveland Photographic Society. Duncan Moody. Duncan began his journey as a photographer while still in high school. His early efforts resulted in shaky snapshots taken with a Kodak Brownie camera. After high school, he did a stint of military service, followed by a few years at Rhodes University. A college friend who had access to a darkroom introduced him to black and white film photography. After college, he joined the Camera Club of Johannesburg. Duncan was in Johannesburg, South Africa. A fantastic group of mentors coached him into seeing and recording better photographs. The next logical step was to build his first makeshift darkroom in his tiny apartment. This solid foundation paved the way to an amateur career filled with many awards, trophies, and credits and publications. While Duncan's knowledge and expertise grew, he paid back by sharing his knowledge with younger photographers. Over the years, he served on the boards of several photography clubs, including the East London Photographic Society, Photographic Society of Southern Africa, and the Piedmont Photo Club in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, North Dakota. And I got to get my phone to read this last one. And our last judge is Clive Culverwell. My love for wildlife began in South Africa in the early 1990s, going to game reserves regularly, and was mostly focused on bird watching. From there, I had a passion to capture the beauty of what I saw through the binoculars on film. In those days, Fujichrome Velva 50 ISO was the preferred choice to get the best results. All I could afford then was a Canon 300mm f2.8 plus 2x converter and a lot of stealth to get close enough to the subject to make it count. No insane cropping in the film days, all composed within the slide frame. I joined Edenvale Photographic Club in South Africa about 1996, and over the years worked my way through the levels to the top 5-star category. In 1998, I moved to USA San Diego and met Wally Nell there. We often would go on photo shoots together. There I was also involved in photographic clubs, including some judging. Equipment was updated to Canon with assortment of digital bodies and smaller lenses. Moved back to Johannesburg, South Africa in 2007 and have enjoyed regular visits to game preserves here to continue enjoying my passion of wildlife photography. And that is our 3 judges. And with that, we will begin. Yeah, off, please. Thanks, Dan.
You okay?
Whenever you're ready.
Eric Batsky, angled giraffe, 22 points. Terry Martin, backward glance, 24 points.
And that's a 3rd place.
Bill Keaton, Badland Meadowlark, 20 points. Robert Boyle, Bend in the Creek, 20 points. Richard Addard, Bird on a Limb, 23 points.
Colleen,
Yes.
read the awards at the end too, please. Honorable mention.
Oh, okay. Honorable mention.
Colleen's the new nature chair, and we're breaking her in this evening.
I have no idea. Yeah, I'll get it. Maria Diakanu, Blue Heron, 19 points. Richard Addard, Brown Owl, 24 points. 3rd place. Is that- Paul Giglia, Busy Bee, 24 points. 3rd place. Daniel Sandy, Busy Bee, 22 points. Margot Wethington, Cardinal, 21 points. Belinda Prince, Carry Out for Lunch, 22 points. Dave Saborik, Cascade Falls from behind, 23 points, honorable mention. Lance Mayer, Cedar Waxwing 2, 22 points. Lance Mayer, Chowing Down, 23 points, honorable mention. Daniel Sandy, Clubhouse Falls Dry, 22 points. Jordan Tetzel, Curly Q, 23 points, honorable mention. Charles K., Dancing in the Pond, 19 points. Joe Smith, Dental Work, 24 points, third place. Eric Wethington, Eclipse, 23 points, honorable mention. Donna Snyder, Eyelash Viper in Waiting, 26 points, first place. Maria Diakanu, Fawn, 21 points. Susan Bestel, Flamingo, 21 points. Bonnie Luxo, Florida Spoonbill, 21 points. David Korosek, Gimme Gimme, 26 points, first place. Keto Thomas, Giraffe with Tongue Out, 22 points. Margot Wethington, Grand Canyon, 21 points. Gary Marich, Grand Teton 1, 22 points. Fran Marino, He's a Goner, 24 points, third place. Donna Snyder, Help Me Please, 26 points, first place. DJ Casanetti, Here's Looking at You Kid, 22 points. Rachel Kovacs, Hiding in the Brush, 22 points, honorable mention. Richard Snyder, Hourglass Tree Frog, 22 points, honorable mention. Bill Keaton, Iguazu Falls, Brazil, 24 points, third place. Ron Werman, Japanese Maple Undercover, 22 points. Gary Marich, Little Blue Heron, 21 points. Gary Wood, Morning Browser, 23 points, honorable mention. Jerry Pano, Morning in the Garden, 24 points, third place. Bob Kowalski, Nature's Garden, 23 points, honorable mention. Joe Smith, On Guard, 23 points, honorable mention. Dennis Wirt, On the Wing, 25 points, second place. Keto Thomas, Owl Close-Up, 22 points. Marge Brady, Palm Tanager, 22 points. David Korosek, Pelican Stretch, 24 points, third place. Marge Brady, Pretty in Pink, 25 points, second place. Dave Saborik, Red Rock Canyon NCA, 23 points, honorable mention. Keith Marchand, River Crossing, 25 points, second place. Eric Botsky, Sandhill Crane Incoming, 25 points, second place. Mike Lonsdale, Sandhill Cranes, 22 points. Bob Kowalski, Splash, 23 points, honorable mention. DJ Casanti, Surf and Sunrise, 21 points. Bonnie Luxco, Swan, 21 points. Fran Moreno, Sweet Toucan, 23 points, honorable mention. Gary Wood, Taste This, 24 points, third place. Debbie Leask, The Elder, 23 points, honorable mention. Mike Kopkas, The House Bunny, 21 points. Melanie Plummer, Tinker Creek Falls, 24 points, third place. Joseph Miko, Tomato Plant, 23 points, honorable mention. Mike Kopkas, Tufted Titmouse, 23 points, honorable mention. Terry Martin, Walking on Water, 24 points, third place. Kim Vashu, You've Got a Friend, 20 points.
And now we'll start the photos with comments.
Duncan says, the subject stands out brilliantly against the out-of-focus green background and the dull blue-brown foreground. In contrast, the head and throat are super sharp and the coloring is warm and intense. I like the attitude of the lizard in the frame, attentive with space to move into. The angles of the branch and the lizard's body suggest a sense of tension and pending activity without actual movement. Well composed and captured.
Joseph Miko, Annoy Stingray Lizard, 25 points, second place.
Clive says, I like the use of thirds here, where about 1/3 is grass and 2/3 is trees and sky. However, I find the colors are very flat, and there is no clearly defined subject that you are drawn to.
Charles K., Cherry Blossoms in Cincinnati, 20 points.
Ami says, I like the complete reflection and the muted colors that give a soft appearance of the whole scene.
Rochelle Kovacs, Egret Reflections, 21 points.
All right, sorry about that. Duncan says, a lovely, peaceful scene enhanced by the contrast between warm, golden, misty sunrise and the cool shadow areas. The delineation between the foreground, middle ground, and background, together with the highlights, lead the viewer through the scene. The lone tree on the boulder, isolated against the mist, creates a strong focal point. There is a good balance between the boulder on the right and the clump of trees on the left. The highlights in the mist is also well handled. Perhaps it can benefit from a bit of sparkle in the water. The overall feeling of calm makes this a candidate for a large print on a wall.
Keith Marchand, Fire and Ice, 25 points, second place.
Clive says the water flowing diagonally from top to bottom, then left to right works well, and ending in a beautiful pond works well. The flow of water draws you into the pond and has a nice, tranquil feel to it. Exposure is good, and the correct use of shutter speed does well to blur the falling water.
Ron Werman, Iceland Waterfalls, 23 points, honorable mention.
Ami says the slow shutter speed gives the viewer the feeling of strong movement. I think that if the rest of the picture were in focus, it would add to the quality of the picture.
Jen Cockrell, Indian Run Falls in Columbus, 19 points.
Duncan says, an interesting depiction of this chameleon. The intensity and combination of colors are quite unique. The head is sharp and the colors are on the head are spectacular. Unfortunately, the narrow depth of field is severe towards the back of the reptile and the body is in shadow. On the other hand, the narrow depth of field helps to throw the background out of focus. It's a pity that the back foot is cropped off. If you have a photo editor, I would also experiment a bit with the radial gradient to increase the out of focus on the foliage towards the edges. Also radial gradient to burn the corners to contain the picture.
Jordan Tetzel, Lizard Boy, 22 points.
Clive says, the scene is beautiful and exposure seems well handled. Composition is a bit awkward in that I find my eyes go from the waves to the mountain and back again. Almost that there are two pictures in one, here with a split midway vertically. If more of the water were cropped out, I believe it would be a stronger picture.
Debbie Leask, Majestic Splendor, 22 points.
Ami says this photograph presents a nice and peaceful scenery. I like the combination of trees and water and the overall soft effect of the picture.
Robert Boyle, Quiet Cove, 21 points.
Duncan says, this is a lovely picture of a parent and a baby. The interaction between the two is precious. The baby heron, ? Looks like it's being protected by the parent, while the baby looks mischievous and preparing to run or fly away. The exposure is a bit dark. While the water looks good, the birds need lighting to at least mid-tone. Also lighten the dark foliage on the bank. Simply increasing the exposure will help, but might blow out the water. So selective adjustments might be needed. With some work, this could be a winner.
Paul Giglia, Sandhill Crane and Chick, 22 points.
Clive says, beautiful scene here that has a lot of potential. I think the composition is fairly well handled. However, I find that about 2/3 of the picture is in shadow and my eyes are drawn to the sunlit hills, which is only a small portion of the picture. Maybe waiting a bit for the sun to get higher would have lit more of the river and made it a stronger picture at the expense of losing some of the golden light in the hills.
Dennis Wirt, Sedona at Sunset, 22 points.
Ami says, we see here a wonderful display of the egret. The details of the feathers are great and capture the eye. The brightness of the background takes some of the effect away.
Susan Bestel, Snowy Egret, 22 points.
Duncan says, this is a stunning primate portrait. I find the expression in the gaze to be memorizing. The expression suggests that your subject is annoyed about something. Then the appearance of scars and blemishes suggest age and experience. The slightly open mouth and wrinkled brow could be the boss about to yell at some unfortunate underling. The exposure is accurate, and the focus across the plane of the face is spot on. Individual facial hairs are visible from forehead to chin. Natural highlights are visible in the eyes. A portrait placed dead center can come across as static and boring, but can also command attention. This one is the latter.
Richard Snyder, white-faced capuchin, 25 points, second place.
Clive says, I think this picture has potential. The duck is alert and looking at you and is a beautiful specimen. However, I find the whites are blown out and the image is not very sharp. Could be the sun was too high in the sky. Also, I find the plant distracting, and cropping should have left more room in front of the duck to look into. Should be more of a 16:9 format or so.
Belinda Prince, wood duck at Sandy Ridge, 23 points, honorable mention.
This is our pictorial. No comments.
Graham Steed, abandoned church, 21 points. Graham Steed, above and below, 19 points. Debbie Leask, abstract and ice, 21 points. Jill Zepka, after the rain, 23 points, honorable mention. Kim Vashu, baby robin, 21 points. Joe DiStefano, balcony view, 21 points. Susan Bestel, Berea Falls, 22 points. John Newcomb, Blue Wing Teal Pear, 21 points. Ron Werman, Butterscotch Beer, 23 points, honorable mention. Mario Manny, Colorado Springs, 22 points. Wally Neal, Desert Lines, 26 points, first place. Joseph Miko, Dinner Plate Delilah, 22 points. Robert Boyle, Downhill Skier, 24 points, third place. John Newcomb, Drake Woodduck, 21 points. Melanie Plummer, Dunes of Oceano, 25 points, second place. Jordan Tetzel, Fungus Among Us, 20 points. Jill Zapka, Good Morning Cleveland, 22 points. Rochelle Kovacs, Koala, 21 points. Jerry Pano, La Katrina, 23 points, honorable mention. Amy Rudouts, Living Poetry, 24 points, third place. Amy Rudouts, May I Help You, 23 points, honorable mention. Dennis Wirt, Patina, 22 points. Jeff Sabo, Rain in the Garden, 19 points. Keith Marchand, Sailing Off, 24 points, third place. Mario Manny, Small French Town, 22 points. Charles K., Sunrise in La Flèche, France, 22 points. Jeff Sabo, Sunset Seattle, 21 points. Wally Nell, Torrey Pines, 25 points, second place. Jen Cockrell, Two Pals A Getting a Drink, 18 points. Joe DiStefano, Weed for Lunch, 23 points, honorable mention. We're beginning the commented images.
Ami says, my impression of this photograph is of emptiness. I like the contrast of the painted wall in the center of the picture. That even increases the feeling of emptiness. The lighting and the colors are also excellent.
Graham Steed, Abandoned Building, 23 points, honorable mention.
Duncan says, this photo is of a building that was probably a church at one time, noted from the markings on the doors, but now suggests abandonment and decay. It doesn't. Which one? Yeah, is this above and below?
This is Acropolis, Athens.
Oh, page 9?
Page 9? I don't know, hold on. No, unless he's got mixed up.
Who's reading for Duncan?
That's me.
You can't find page 9?
Page 9?
You don't have a page 9?
I got a page 9.
Pictorial?
Okay. Got it.
Okay.
An eerie image of what looks like the Parthenon lit up at night. It is amazing that a structure that was built with such precision with so many centuries ago is still standing. Good job in recording good exposure on the structure while retaining detail in the hill on which it is built and unlit areas of the city below.
Mario Manny, Acropolis, Athens, 21 points.
Clive says, nice action on the subject eating what looks like a lily pad, and good composition with a bit of diagonal tilt. I do find that detail on the fur has been lost somewhere, maybe in post-processing or cropping too much, not sure.
Daniel Sandy, Afternoon Snack, 23 points, honorable mention.
Ami says, this photograph has a strong depth effect to it, with great sharpness throughout. I liked the combination of the sunset, sunrise, and the fine details of the foreground.
Jerry Pano, Angels of the Dawn, 22 points.
Duncan says, a great image of the butterfly. The butterfly is sharp all over, even right to the end of the feelers. The colors are intense, and the color balance appears to be accurate. I love the background foliage with the intense green, yet soft, gentle curves. The placement in the frame is also pleasing.
Bill Keaton, Butterfly on the Green, 23 points, honorable mention.
Clive says, interesting structure that does get one's attention. However, I find the cropping needs a bit of work to get the line straight, and the tree encroaching on the right is a bit of a distraction.
DJ Kasanati, Crossing the Cuyahoga River, 21 points.
Ami says, this is a lovely photograph of a kiss between these two pretty birds. Colors, lighting, and background, or rather lack of, are also very appealing.
Marge Brady, Disagreement, 23 points, honorable mention.
Duncan says, an interesting view of the unmarked fighter jet. It is taken from a downward angle and from slightly behind. Everything about the shot suggests speed and agility, and its ability to race past and disappear rapidly. Even though it is taken in bright sunlight, there is detail in the shot, highlights and shadows. From a composition standpoint, it would have been nice to have a bit more space in front.
Keto Thomas, F-22 in left bank, 23 points, honorable mention.
Clive says, beautiful scene here with lovely colors surrounding the darkness of the water showing raindrops. I like the composition, but find that the image lacks fine detail in general. Don't know if it is intentional or not, but I would have preferred to see more detail in the leaves and rocks, etc. Exposure seems a bit dark, maybe increasing by about a third of a stop would help.
Jeff Sabo, Fall Rain, 24 points, third place.
Ami says, the building in this photograph is depicted in great details. The figures in front also add for the depth of the picture. I wish you had more light to increase the impression of the scene.
Richard Adder, 5 Women at the Taj, 23 points, honorable mention.
Duncan says, an interesting combination of a frog and a water lily. Both the frog and lily are well isolated from the surrounding lily pads. There's enough depth of field to allow both subjects to be in focus. The lily is particularly well exposed, retaining some detail and the texture in the bright white.
Lance Mayer, Froggy Went in a Courtin, 23 points, honorable mention.
Clive says, nice subject where the face is somewhat toward the camera. I say the intent is to show the nice colors of the blown out background. Composition is not too bad. However, I find that the bird is very pixelated and lacks detail.
Dave Saborik, Goldfinch and Spiderwort, 21 points.
Ami says, a very interesting picture where details and lack of details play an important role. It's this that gives the nice atmosphere to the picture and makes it both realistic and surrealistic at the same time.
Gary Marich, Grandpa WC, 22 points.
Duncan says, an excellent still life in an old master style. The careful control of the main light and balanced fill light is given the basket and vegetables or fruit. All the elements of shape, form, texture, and pattern that are sought in a still life. The careful placement of the vegetables looks natural without being repetitive. The depth of field holds from the front to back. I feel that overall exposure could be increased about a stop.
Melanie Plummer, Grandmother's Heirlooms, 23 points, honorable mention.
Clive says, this has an eerie look to it, like something out of a sci-fi or horror film. This does add to the impact of the image. Exposure is well handled with sufficient lighting on the gravestones. Nice image.
Terry Martin, Graveyard Grace, 24 points, third place.
Ami said, it is very good and difficult to capture a hummingbird in flight. I liked the catch light in the eye and the determination of that the bird is showing here.
Maria Diakanu, hummingbird, 22 points.
Duncan says, the mixed lighting on this bluebird, parrot and macaw, is unfortunate. It is devoid of detail in the darker areas, but is bright and shiny where it's well lit around the head and chest. It is perched awkwardly on the twig and is difficult to work out where the wings are. I suspect this is a rare bird because I could not find it in a quick search. If it is indeed rare, I would spend the time reworking the image to even out the light and the dark tones in the feathers and reduce the contrast in the out-of-focus foliage in the background.
Fran Marino, I see you toucan, 19 points.
Clive says, interesting picture of these structures. However, I find my eyes wandering around the image looking for a central subject or point of interest.
Mike Kopkis, industrial, 21 points.
Ami says, I know that it's between difficult and impossible to wait for the blue skies and perfect lighting conditions. I think that under the given conditions, you captured the scene perfectly and showed the vibrant greenery.
Bonnie Luxco, Irish Layered Hill, 22 points.
Duncan says, this appears to be an unusual view from a snow-covered bank looking down to a mirror smooth water surface. The upside-down trees are reflections from the opposite bank. The mysterious blue triangle in the center confused me for a while until the pieces of the puzzle fell into place. The snow is well captured, being clean white but still with some texture. As a reflection, the trees and sky have dropped in exposure, and the sky in particular has become intensely saturated.
Wally Nell, late fall, early snow, 22 points.
Clive says, nice composition of the bird, and it is facing the camera with a fair bit of detail on the head. I find the colors a bit flat and dark where nothing really seems to pop out for me.
Donna Snyder, Little Blue Heron, 22 points.
Ami says, this beautiful photograph is nearly perfect. I very much like the combination of the open flower bud and the leaf of the lotus. No wonder this flower was adored by people for thousands of years.
Gary Wood, Marsh Magic, 24 points, third place.
Duncan says, I don't see any obvious symbols except for a hint of stained glass windows in the tower facing the camera, but I think it's an old church building, probably in the country given in the space around it. I feel the color's a bit off with a yellowish cast on the building. The pattern in the stonework shows up well in the walls camera facing because of the sunlight raking across the surface. The clouds in the sky are an extra bonus.
Bob Kowaleski, Matchless, 23 points, honorable mention.
Clive says, interesting photo with lots of glamour. Exposure and lighting is well handled. In terms of composition, it doesn't quite work for me. The person is looking out of the frame and not directly to the camera. Also, the frame is tilted slightly and needs to be rotated a few degrees.
Mike Lonsdale, Mr. Speed, 23 points, honorable mention.
Ami says, an interesting view of the oyster catcher. The lighting and composition are very nice and show the bird in great detail. It is very nice and somewhat lucky to get both the light and the bird to cooperate so nicely.
Dave Karosik, oyster catcher, 23 points, honorable mention.
Duncan says, this is a light and airy version of a spiral plant that might be deadly to insects. The light coming from behind and camera left is filtered through something that is given a marvelous range of pastel yellows, greens, and blues. The soft background is enhanced by the subtle rays. The highlights on the left edge of the plant are blown out and could do with some decrease in exposure. The subjects are vertical and might present better in a vertical frame.
Amy Radowitz, Protector, 21 points.
Clive says, I see the pictorial aspect of this photo with this person alone contemplating life, maybe, with an interesting structure above and around. I find the colors are a bit flat and maybe cropping out some of the bottom of the picture with the walkway and highlight shadows would have improved it.
Jill Zabka, Taking It All In, 21 points.
Ami says, on one hand, this photograph is very strong impact with such an impressive animal. On the other hand, the monkey is blended into the background, which softens the effect. Very interesting situation.
Joe Smith, Toothpick, 22 points.
Duncan says the castle on a hill is well exposed, picturesque, and nicely composed. I'm guessing the original background needed fixing or replacement to improve it. The replacement was not well executed. Notice the top of the tower has a dark halo and a yellow bush at the base of the tower on the left has a yellow halo. This looks like the feather value set too high and spreading out too far. On the other hand, the area near the base on the right is blurred. This suggests the cutout was inaccurate. Try to pick up some skills on masking and experiment with the feather amount. The new problem will be the smaller the feather, the more accurate the mask needs to be.
Joe DiStefano, 20 points.
Clive says, this has a really nostalgic, rustic feel to it. The lighting is subtle and the composition is good. It has a link to some good tasting food and wine.
Eric Batsky, What a Spread, 22 points.
Ami says, in this photograph, one sees great details in the subject. The background is also excellent by being out of focus and not interfering with the main subject. I like that the subject was photographed against the light and not in direct light.
Margot Wethington, Wolf Close Up, 23 points, honorable mention.
Duncan says this stare illustrates why they are called birds of prey. The framing is a bit awkward with the severe crop of the bird on the left and bottom and a lot of blank sky up on the right. To fill the frame better and provide better balance, I would switch to a vertical format with a crop on the right and maybe a bit off the top.
John Newcomb, You Looking at Me, 21 points.
And that concludes our evening. Thank you for coming. How long did it be in there?
It's been not so much for me as him, but it's just
Yeah,
it's been a
that would be.
I'll tell you one thing, I told this to, I have birds, so I went to see it. I told her, I said, I don't know how these bedrooms didn't turn, because I was ready to go. Seriously. I mean, I watch a lot of TV, and in the first 7 days of this, I watched more TV than I can shake a stick at. So, but we're healing. So what happened was I stepped down and I have arthritis in my knee, so it caught and my knee collapsed. So how you doing? Yeah?
It's just been really, really hectic. It's just,
tough.
Yeah, but
You need to follow me around. I'll show you.
I would,
We take it seriously.
I would love to.
I mean, the only thing is, well, so I have to, we were gonna leave, the middle of May, August. And then because of the vertigo, I have a test on the 27th, so we pushed that out.
Everything gets pushed around.
Where you heading this time? Colorado?
Yeah, Colorado, for Catherine's birthday.
We'll see her, and then we're gonna spend a week in Cheyenne. And see, and check out the territorial things.
I like Colorado.
Most people do. I couldn't live there. I wouldn't be able to live there.
No, I wouldn't either.
Well,
But I like going out there and visiting.
Oh, yeah, visiting is great.
but I mean, it's like where Catherine lives in Steamboat. I mean, during the summer, it gets over 100 degrees.
There.
And then during the winter,
Minus 20.
yeah,
No thanks.
There.
anyhow. All righty, nice seeing you. Take it easy.
seeing you.
If you need anything, let me know.
I appreciate it. Thank you. You take care.
So you don't need, I thought you might need us for work.
not gonna take another view of it for the competition.
If it didn't receive like a first, second, third honorable mention, you are allowed to enter the
In the same category.
in the same category. Or in, you put it in pictorial, or you could, but only one more time.
Because she may have had it made last time. And as I recall, it pretty well. I couldn't remember the exact composition of the picture.
Go back and check. I'll go back and check and see. The video is allowed to re-enter a photo if it doesn't take. But I will, if you said it did well, and she got like a first, second, third, honorable mention, it's not, she can't re-enter it, so.
I hate to take away somebody's award, but I'd expect somebody to mention that about my pictures too. Something wrong, let me know.
I've had a couple of times where I had to say something. It just these are the rules. So I mean, I just bring it to their attention. In most cases, I find it's not intentional. I mean, it's just,
Well, the other thing that, people can enter, but for myself, I won't be entering a picture of an airplane going this way in the same competition, another airplane going this way,
Yeah.
And it's obvious it's the same airplane. It's a different picture, I understand. That's why I got you guys to make those decisions. Yeah, look at it, right?
Pardon?
You're good?
I'm good.
Then
I gotta shut things off.
What's that?